Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the AOR Hyper Energy Season 4 Formula 2 Sprint League here on the PC. We're here in the streets of Baku for yet another street race and for round 5 of the championship. Last week we had the remake of the Monaco sprint race that we unfortunately couldn't broadcast because of some unfortunate internet issues. But we're back this week and hope that everything will go well. Before we go down on track, let me introduce myself here in the commentary box. I am Rendtorff, and joining me once again this week, it is Jacob Hancox. How are you doing tonight?
Go to this one.
Alright, perfect. Let's just jump straight down to the track and jump on board with Flash, a driver that's had 2 pole positions this season. He's currently coming through the first sector down the second DRS straight there. You just see after the one down the start finish straight, then coming round the 2 first left-handers and now into the third left-hander there in the first sector, then into the first right hand on the track. They're drifting through, falling down, as I think he had a small lock up on the right hand side, then coming in to the very narrow section where you first go right or left and then right before coming down towards the front right hand before coming into the castle section, a place where we've seen drivers before having many issues bumping into the wall straight ahead, like we for example saw Charles Leclerc do last year in the F1 qualifying. But there Flash makes his way through nicely there, then coming on to the back straight, which is basically, or one of the back straights, which is basically just 2 kinks of a corner, and then coming down to hard braking before he makes his way down to the start finish straight there, a place where we've seen many battles over the year, and the place where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel have a couple of issues in the 2018 Grand Prix. Then on to the start finish straight it is, where you come first to the right, then to the left, and then to the right again before you finally go down the start finish straight. Well, actually there is a small kink off turn 20. Now he's coming down to open the DRS there. You approach it very fast and open the DRS right after the final corner there, the small kink. Then coming up to the line, he goes all the way to the left. And then McCree coming over the line for 150.5 to take pole position. Jack will take the second spot on the front row. And there we see Flash coming across the line in P6. And we'll see how the rest of the drivers will form themselves out in just a moment.
That's a bit of a turn of pace from Jack there. That's not something we've seen thus far this season. I think we've only seen him in a couple of the races, maybe not for a little while. Didn't start maybe the last race or the one before, I think. But yeah, I believe he's an Italian driver. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I think he's Italian. And yeah, doing a great job actually here in qualifying. He was right up there throughout the whole lap, battling with McCree. Lost it a little bit in the final sector, but it was very close stuff. McCree once again proving that he is the class of the field when it comes to raw pace. Haspen doing well in third. We haven't seen Haspen for a while. The last race Haspen participated in the F2 Sprint League was actually a victory, but hasn't participated in either of the last 3 F2 weekends. Richie B fourth, ahead of Flash. Sebster also ahead of Flash. Flash down in 6th. Not great news for him at all. And Tudor also down in 9th, so he won't be happy either.
Yeah, that'll certainly spice the things up for the feature race, as a couple of the guys fighting for the championship will start a bit further down. So let's see how that is going to turn out in the race itself now, as the drivers are just readying up, finishing the small bits that they can change on their setup, and then we'll see with the tyre strategy of how they're lining up. Of course, the top 10 will be starting on the super soft tyres, but the guys outside of the top 10 will have that free choice of tyre. Many of them choosing that reverse of the normal strategy, but let's see as we come in to the formation lap.
Yeah, nice to see, though, some more drivers in the field getting a little bit more competitive. However, there was a big gap from Jack in second down to Haspen in third. I think it was about 0.6 of a second. So Jack very much up there with Macri on raw pace, at least over that qualifying lap. And then the rest of them not really cutting it. Flash a long way off one of his main championship rivals. Richie V definitely involving himself in that particular conversation of late as well. There's all 15 drivers there on the grid. Steve Jackson at the back, I think DNF'd in qualifying, maybe into turn 2. I think he lost the car. Heiko starting down in P10. That's not going to be great news for him either, but that's sadly what we've kind of come to expect from Heiko thus far this season. Hasn't had anywhere near the sort of levels of ability and levels of pace that we've seen from him in the first, or rather the season 3 of the F2 Sprint League, but the first one in F2 cars. Where he was absolutely championship contender until the very end, but got beaten out by ELZ KBL. So yeah, Heiko will be starting on those mediums and Flash as well. So that's going to be interesting to see what the ART driver, our championship leader, can do from P6 on those yellow walled tyres. And Steve Jackson, who of course, DNF from qualifying, also opting for that same harder compound tyre.
Yeah, interesting to see that most of the grid is on the super soft tyre, and none of them really, only 3 of them, going for that reverse one that you normally see. But then come late to the race, of course, that will mean that we have 3 drivers who will be on very much quicker tyres, and will also quite early on in the race become that quicker tyre, the medium tyres. The super soft tyre has quite a bit of a drop off all of a sudden, and it very much depends on how you're running the cars. Oh, someone there spun in the castle section. I think that might have been Flash. Possibly. No, he's still running up. I'm not quite sure, but someone had a small spin in the castle section. Might have just touched the inside wall there and gone around, which is quite easy to do if you're just trying to maximise on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think that might have been Lasher, because there's a big gap that's formed between Lasher and then Dominic up ahead. So Lasher going to be starting in P8 today. And that's not going to help his confidence going into this one, that's for sure, but I don't think it'll be the end of the world. I don't think you can pick up damage on the formation lap or anything like that. So maybe his tyres might be a little bit hotter, the rears in particular, than he would like. But he's had about half a lap now to cool those down as well, as the AI will now be taking control of most of these cars, as Tudor goes absolutely rocketing past Flash and Lasher, who for some reason are going rather more slowly than everyone else. But yeah, they are now just ready to line up on the grid.
With the drivers at the back there having their tyres possibly a bit warmer than the guys at the front, due to the guys having to wait quite a bit of time. But it looks like the final couple of drivers are lining up on the grid, and then we'll see the green flag and the 5 red lights.
Yep, not a very long run down to turn 1 here, despite the really long straight, but we'll see if anyone can get the jump regardless on our pole sitter Macri. As the lights go out, we wait for them to go out for the drivers, and we are now underway. And I think that's a pretty good start there from Macri. Might have Jack up the inside, but no, Jack actually falling behind. It was a good start for Richie V, who was challenging for second for a brief moment there, but will have to settle for third instead. But he'll definitely take that, will the Dutchman. Haspen falling down to 4th for the time being. They're going side by side through turn 2 here, and Jack has lost it on the exit of turn 2 into the wall, and he was looking so promising after that qualifying session, and he throws it all away almost instantly, falling well down towards the very back of the field. Now Haspen and Richie V still battling as we enter turn 3. Richie V trying to give Haspen the space on the outside, as he'll look to take the outside line into 4 here, and just about keeps his nose out of the wall. But the fact that he ran so wide means that Haspen once again has an opportunity. So they're still side by side here. Into turn 6 they go, they bang wheels. Richie V into the wall on the left-hand side. Don't know if he makes up any front wing damage there or not. And Haspen is falling down as they're 3 wide, and that's never going to go well. Oh, and a 4th one involved as well. That is a disaster.
Yeah, and I believe the full safety car has been deployed, quite possibly, because I see a yellow dot on the minimap there coming out of the pit lane, although I'm not seeing anything on the screen here. Many drivers slowing very much down there, so I believe the full safety car has been deployed there. You just see Flash, he was trying to overtake the fight there between Haspen and they're just trying on the inside there to find the space, and then just a bit of contact and him getting slung back round as I can't quite remember who had lost quite a bit of pace there on the exit. Then just contact in front of them, and then they were all just across the track, and all 4 drivers having quite a bit of front wing damage and causing the full safety car to be deployed.
Yeah, that was a pretty major incident there, in all honesty, and very unfortunate for Richie V, who wasn't even one of the cars that went 3 wide, but because the cars behind did go 3 wide, it meant that one of them, I think it was, no, who was it? Was it Haspen? I think Haspen was out of control when it got to turn 7 and actually just crashed into the side pod of Richie B, forcing him into the wall. Haspen seems to have got away. Oh no, he has got front wing damage. So Haspen has front wing damage. Let's see, does Tudor have any damage? It doesn't look like it. But Richie B and Flash both definitely do. Flash's is enough for the German championship leader to decide to dive into the pits, and that's not good news at all, because he's on that medium compound tyre, so he would have wanted to go a long way on that set of tyres, and unfortunately feeling the need to get rid of them for a set of super soft, so he's going to have to pit once more in this race and come out of the very back of the train. So that is terrible, terrible news for Flash, and going 3 wide down that little straight there is never going to work, and I definitely didn't get a good enough view of it to cast blame in any direction, but someone definitely did something wrong there. Maybe multiple people doing something wrong, if I'm honest.
Yeah, certainly. Just down that straight, it's okay to go 2 wide. You can fit 2 cars into that corner if you're really good, but 3 cars, you will never get through there. Like, it might be wide enough just about, but you'll never be able to squeeze 3 cars through there in a race situation where everyone wants to get through first. So yeah, I think we can partially blame all 3 drivers that was going side by side. Maybe only who knows? I'm sure if anyone wants to cast blame, they'll take it to the stewards, and then we'll see from there what will happen. But the drivers now lining up behind the safety car. McCrean, actually, if that safety car hadn't been deployed, he would have gained about an 8-second gap down to the drivers behind, because of that contact and that small incident that was so high up in the field. So he was losing quite a bit with the safety car.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's still going to benefit from the fact that 2 of his main championship rivals, or the 2 championship rivals of his, have both picked up front wing damage. Flash having to come into the pits to get rid of his. Richie B opting to stay out. Richie B, on top of that, managed to pick up a 5-second time penalty for overtaking under yellow flags when the safety car initially came out, and that's probably just a glitch, and that's really unlucky for Richie V as well. So the Dutch driver not off to a great start after winning the sprint race last time out in Monaco last weekend. It's all gone wrong for him here today. I'm trying to work out who the 3rd car involved when there were 3 wide was. I think it was Tudor. It was very hard to tell, though, because it was all very sudden and very chaotic. It was definitely Haspen and Flash who were 2 of the cars involved. Tudor also has front wing damage, though a little bit less than Haspen, Flash and Richie B all managed to get. So I think it must have been Tudor that was involved there. Interesting that Haspen and Tudor both opting to stay out like Richie B, even though each of them has front wing damage, not deciding to go to the very back of the field as Flash did.
I think they're all driving around with front wing damage that they're able to control and able to drive with, plus there are on the super soft tyres, I believe all of them. So with them on the super soft tyres, the tyres are going to drop off quite soon, so they're not going to be running too far into the race with that front wing damage like Flash would have had to do.
Yeah, no, just quick hello to Racing Swordsman in chat. I'm not sure quite how that works, but interesting name nonetheless. Hailing us from Wisconsin in the USA. Nice to have you here. And we do have one American driver in the field in the form of BioLite, currently in P10 in the MP Motorsport car. I believe BioLite has managed 2 points so far this season, and that was all for a 9th place finish in the feature race in the Dutch Grand Prix, as Aceries managed to pick up a 5-second time penalty, for a severe collision with Heiko. And that actually, Heiko's behind, so that's almost certainly Heiko going into Aceries rather than the other way around. And I think Heiko might have picked up front wing damage in that as well, actually, just judging by the brief glimpse of his car. No, maybe not. I think it's actually all okay. So that's a bit, I jumped the gun on that one. But yeah, that was, I think, maybe Aceries going a bit too slowly for Heiko's liking, catching the Dutchman off guard, and it ended up with Aceries getting the penalty rather than Heiko.
Yeah, it's a quite unfortunate glitch to see sometimes in this game.
Ooh.
But nonetheless, the safety car is coming in this lap, as some positions was playing a bit of trickery on my screen, but it does look good. But the safety car is in this lap. It is pulling away from the field there. McCree will be the pace setter. Let's see when I think he's decided to jump the gun already. Quite looks like it, since he's already 2.5 seconds ahead of the field behind. You see Haspin, he's completely lost it there on the start, but Haspin, he's deciding to come into the pits. Not quite sure what's happened to him, but Sebster right behind now, taking second place. Will Tudor decide to attack into turn one? No. What about Dominic right behind? No, he stays behind there, but there is some battling further back there. People jumping up the positions because both Richby and Haspin coming into the pits now, but everyone into turn one staying pretty much in position. Quite surprised to see that. None of them able to get proper speed down the straight there, but nonetheless, McCree having quite the gap at the front.
Yeah, that was cheeky stuff from the Campos drivers. That was Haspin holding up the rest of the field intentionally, allowing Macri to get that 2-second gap, knowing he was going to come into the pits anyway, as Tudor spins and Dominic almost crashes into him as well. So while it was great teamwork between the two Campos drivers, the two Premers almost hit each other there, and that would have been disaster. It was just Tudor losing it through turn 3 that caused that incident. He only lost a couple of positions, one to Dominic and then to Lasher behind as well. And Darius ahead of Dominic for the time being, with a big gap up to Sebster, as they had to be very careful to avoid the spinning Romanian in the Prema. Steve Jackson making a move on Flash. These two are battling right here at the moment, and Steve Jackson actually holding on to that position for now. Flash will definitely want to dispatch the Uni Virtuosi driver as quickly as he possibly can. Steve Jackson tended to be a tail ender thus far this season, 2 points so far, and now Flash will be able to get up the inside of him here, and that will be job done for the ART driver, unless they make contact, and they do. Oh no, it just gets worse and worse for Flash there. It's hard to tell. Again, I was on board with Flash and I couldn't quite see exactly what happened, but that is so bad for the German.
Actually,
Lasher's round as well, sorry. Lasher in the dams, he's gone round. He was running up in P5 and he's down to 9th.
Yeah, quite falling down there. I think actually Flash has been lucky enough to escape without damage. I think the driver with damage is Steve Jackson there. He's having trouble through the final couple of corners there. Flash able to just steam by. I think Steve Jackson is going to come into the pits on this lap because he is missing quite a bit of his front wing. Actually, Flash coming in as well. So it didn't look like he had front wing damage, but he does have. So Flash's race is just turning from bad to worse. And I would be guessing that he's coming in for a set of medium tyres here that he'll go to the end of the race with.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Flash has only done 2 laps on that set of super softs. I don't know if he needed to do... I think he maybe needs to do another lap on that set of tyres, even with the front wing damage he may or may not have had, just to make sure that he wasn't going to get disqualified at the end of this race if he goes to the end on a set of mediums. Further down the order, or further up the order, I should say, Jack making the move on Heiko for P7. So Jack, after such a promising qualifying, throwing it all away in turn 2, he's managing to battle back up through the field for now. Steve Jackson's retired. Looks like that was in the pits for the other Uni Virtuosi driver. Yeah,
that's quite unfortunate for Steve Jackson. He's been running quite far down the field this whole season, and I'm sure he was hoping for some redemption here today, but unfortunately it just wasn't his day to be. But now up for 6th place, Steve Jackson, or Jack, is close to Ace, Steve Jackson's teammate there. Up here into the second to last corner before coming onto the straight there. Just a bit of barging there. Ace was braking quite early for Jack's liking there, and he just bumped the rear end of his car, and then Heiko taking Jack on his way down to the straight there. Now it looks like Darius and Tudor has been in a bit of battling there. It looks like Tudor got past for 4th place there, pushing Darius down to 5th. McCree now coming into the pits here on lap 5. Same does Sebster and Tudor as well. So Dominic and Darius and a couple of other drivers staying out for now for this lap. Now further behind there, it's going to be close between Aces and Heiko there. Aces just still sticking behind, as you can just see, into turn 1 there. He just wasn't close enough. He had pulled out into the mirrors, but wasn't close enough to go for the move. and quite cleverly decided not to go for the dive.
Yeah, so that's Heiko up into P3 with all those pitting and taking the position away from Aceries as well. Darius still out there, as well as Dominic, who now leads the race in the Prema. The German drivers look pretty good thus far this race. I don't think he really had the pace on Sebster, who was running behind before Sebster came into the pits. Let's see where these guys have come out of the pit. So Macri still retaining a lot of clean air there, 4.3 seconds to Sebster behind. So this pit has gone well for Macri, and this race is just going beautifully for him at the moment. His problem is usually when he gets into traffic, when he has to make overtakes, he loses his head and he makes stupid mistakes. But right now, he's got 11.5 seconds worth of clean air to just pummel into. And by the time he gets up to the front runners, they'll all have pit anyway. So Macri should just be plain sailing from here on out for him. I don't think he's going to have to bother with battling any other car because he's just on a different race compared to the rest of the field for the time being. A lot of big gaps forming throughout the field at the moment. Sebster 4.6 behind Macri, and then Tudor is 5.7 behind him. A further 4.7 back to Haspen and Richie B, who managed the one-lap undercut but weren't really able to make much work with that. Of course, they had front wing damage to contend with as well. And then Neil Bywater with his teammate Lasher in close attendance in Ps 10 and 11 for the two Dams drivers right now. Heiko actually eating in to the advantage that Darius has over him. So those medium tyres on his car definitely working better than the 5-lap-old super softs on those around him.
Yeah, it's quite clear to see that Heiko has now come into that window where there's the crossover between the super softs and the medium. And then Dominic coming into the pits, and that'll mean Heiko takes the lead of the race. But there's still a large gap down the field to the likes of McCree there. It is 12.3 seconds now. Oh wow, that is falling quite rapid. Oh, that was just the interval time there. Let me just go on to the leader times instead. There is quite a gap there, 11.3 seconds down to McCree in third place, and he has 1.9 down to Aceries in second place. So Heiko currently able to just go out there and bang in some lap times in some clean air, although McCree is catching quite rapidly, or at least he was a couple of laps ago. And I think that Heiko will be having to look out in the next couple of laps for when McCree will be coming from behind and be within that pit stop window if he isn't already.
Yeah, major drag race just occurred down the main straight between Lasher and Flash, and Lasher actually braked later into turn one, held it around the outside on the championship leader, so Flash not getting it all his own way here at all, as he is struggling down at the very bottom of the field in 12th at the moment. He's struggling to make his way back up through the order with the 2 pit stops he's had to make thus far, and he may still need to make another one. I'm not sure if he can go to the end of the race on this set of mediums or not without being disqualified, because he only did a couple of laps on that set of super soft tyres. Neil Bywater definitely proving to be a bit of a roadblock for now. His teammates stuck behind him, but that will ensure that Lasher has DRS, which is going to make it that much harder for Flash to get past him as well. And Jack is looking to join this particular train on top of it. And the Univirtuosi driver has been fast, if rather inconsistent thus far this race. Richie B about 7.5 seconds up the road from Flash, more like 8 seconds now as well. So the Dutchman getting a good margin on the guy he's looking to close down in the championship. But Macri is definitely going to be feeling the best, as he has absolutely eviscerated that gap to Aceries. He's about 6 seconds a lap faster right now than the Welshman in P2. And I see some support for Pino Macri in the chat. And yeah, it's going to be a good day for you unless Pino does something disastrous, because he is flying out there.
Yeah, just went in and set the fastest lap of the race there on lap 7. Now onto lap 8 he goes. So he's absolutely flying down to 4.7 now, 4.6, 4.5 now. So he's just catching and catching and catching. And it's going to be a bit close if you'll come up there before the pit stop comes, as Richie B and Darius there battling into turn 1 there. Darius just squeezing Richie B out there on the runoff area, and Richie B there just sliding his way back onto the track. But it's going to get a bit hairy between Aceries and McCree, because McCree's catching quite rapidly, and Aceries probably won't be pitting until lap 10 or 11 to be sure that the super soft tyres will have pace all the way to the end. So with McCree catching at this rate, and him not wanting to stay behind very long, I am not sure that it's going to be so plain sailing as it looks like there's a bit of contact further back here there. Neil Bywater's gone round and then went into the wall on both sides. So that is definitely him having to pit again there. So not the best for Neil Bywater there. Further back, Lasher might as well have some front wing damage. Yes, he has.
Yeah.
So, could have been some contact between those two, you might know that.
I'm afraid it was. It was a damn civil war there between Lasher and Neil Bywater. Neil Bywater thinking he could steer all the way to the left of the track, but Lasher's nose was just alongside him. And it was just on a straight. It was just Neil Bywater looking.
Here comes McCree for second place there. Just going around the outside. He has the DRS. Down the straight they come, and there Aces comes into the pits. So McCree coming up and taking second place now, 6.6 seconds up to Heiko in first place. So getting past, and with Aces pitting, he is lucky not having to battle there.
Yeah, and this is what Macri threatens to do every single race he's in. Every single race he threatens to be about half a second a lap faster than the rest of the field at minimum. But sometimes, and most of the time, it just doesn't happen for him. We've had, 8 races thus far this year? He's won 2 of them only. And that is so weird because he's so much faster than most of the rest of the field on most occasions, even faster than the likes of Flash and Richie B, who are ahead of him in the championship right now. But it's the inconsistency which has come to bite. But this race, there is nothing standing in his way. Only Heiko on the road, and I don't think he's going to be too worried about the Dutchman up ahead. He's catching him pretty quickly, but not as fast as he was catching Aceries. So we might well see Heiko come into the pits before Macri even reaches the back of him, which will be perfect for the Italian in the Campos, as he will not have a care in the world up at the front.
Yeah, further down, Flash has made his way up to 9th place, and he is now set to be trying to catch that 5.5 second gap he has up to his teammate of Darius in 8th place there, trying to take reverse grid pole position. So Flash now with 5.5 seconds up, and it is his teammate then 8th place, so we might be able to see some teamwork going on, but I'm sure that Darius most likely will be trying to hold on to that position as best as possible if Flash is able to catch. But of course it is that reverse grid pole position that is so important for Flash right now, since he is losing quite a bit in the championship to the likes of McCree and Tudor up further ahead, and the same with Richard being 7th. Maybe not so much anymore he's losing there, but it is still points he's losing that he will be trying to gain back come the sprint race in just, that is 5 laps now. So Flash, he needs to get a move on if he wants to catch up to his teammate and wants to get in the battle for the reverse grid pole position.
Yeah, Tudor's actually quietly having a pretty good race out here. He started in P9, I think it was, so quite far down, but I think he was 4th or 5th by the end of the first lap, or by the time the safety car came out at least. So I think he's been having a good time of it thus far. We've seen a couple of mistakes, one spin I seem to remember, but he's now well ahead of his teammate Dominic, who he was running behind before the pit stops, as Jack also making his way past Aceries down for P10, as he's looking to keep Flash within view as well, because he will be thinking that that reverse grid pole is definitely attainable for himself as well. Well, yet to see exactly where Heiko is going to come out of the pits relative to the rest of the field. He might be in the mix for that one on top of it. And Darius, I was going to say he might be able to do a job for his teammate if he can stay with Richie B and try and battle the Dutchman, try and give him a little bit of trouble. But even though he's got fresher tyres, he just doesn't have the pace to live with the MP Motorsport driver, who's currently in P7 and looking to challenge Dominic for P6, but a 5-second gap between them at the moment. And the gap throughout the field really quite large. This field has definitely been separating the drivers pretty significantly. 2.5 seconds at the front between Pino Macri and Heiko, who will probably be coming into the pits, if not at the end of this lap, then the one after that. So if I'm Macri, I'm not bothering to try and overtake Heiko. I'm just waiting behind him because you know he's going to have to pit, and you've got 7 seconds behind. So who cares if you have a lap on Heiko's pace? It's not going to compromise your race one bit.
No, that is how we would think there, as I believe that is Heiko coming into the pits. We just here on board with McCree. So that is just perfect for McCree right there. First he called up to, that was Aceries, and he just went into the pits. Here he catches up to Heiko and he just goes into the pits. So the car's just getting out of the way of McCree as he's catching up to them. So it should be plain sailing for the next 4.5 laps for McCree. So just keep it out the walls, keep it on the track, and don't get any penalties, and you should be set to take the feature race win here and gain some points back on Richie B and Flash. And speaking about Flash, he is caught up a bit, but there is still 2.3 seconds up to his teammate. He can just see him there coming onto the second DRS straight. So he's within viewing range, and I'm sure that Flash is just using him as a hare, just trying to catch as much as possible. But he has to watch out for Jack behind, who's almost within DRS range.
Yeah, good news for Heiko. He came out in P7, so he's well ahead of even P8, and he can look to at least get past Richie B on these super soft tyres. He will be the fastest car in the field, probably, unless he's not able to live with Macri's pace, which Macri might just be so good that even Heiko on these fresh super softs can't actually get to his level of pace. The Heiko does need to get past Richie B pretty quickly, because come the end of this race, even these super softs will be starting to wear a little bit, and it's 5 seconds up to Dominic ahead if he wants to gain any more than just 6th position for Carlin in this race. But starting in P10, running the Contra strategy, not too bad of a performance for Heiko. He got to lead a few laps as well. I'm sure he remembers that one from last season, or what that felt like, I should say. Sebster also doing a really solid job in P2 at the moment. 8 seconds behind Pino Macri, but no one in this field has been able to live with the Italian in this race as he goes and puts a bit of an exclamation mark after what I just said, with a 1:53.241 going faster and faster in the Campos. And Sebster 7/10 of a second off him on that lap, but he's built 9.5 seconds to Tudor behind, who himself has a big gap to the rest of the field. So Sebster has been comfortably the second best driver in this race, and he's doing a great job in the Arden as Haspen has to come into the pits, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Is this front wing damage? No, he's just going for a change of tyres. See, that's interesting, because I thought that he waited long enough under the first safety car that he wasn't going to get disqualified, because I'm pretty sure he did at least 3 laps on those super soft tyres at the beginning. But nevertheless, Haspen pitting from what was a relatively comfortable 4th position.
I think he pit on lap number 2. So we had the first lap where the collision was. Then I think he came into the pits either on the first lap or lap number 2.
I thought only Flash came into the pits right at the start, and then I think Haspen... because Haspen held up the train for Macri when they were playing games with the safety car train after the safety car came into the pits. Haspen was the one who held back the field to allow Macri to gain a 2-second gap on the rest of them, which, by the way, cheeky and quite questionable tactics, but very intelligent from the 2 Campos drivers. But yeah, Haspen definitely came into the pits at the end of lap 3. So I'm not sure he needed to actually come into the pits then.
No, that is... I think you just need to do 3 laps, but then the question is, do you need to finish the 3rd lap, or is it enough just to go out on the 3rd lap? Nonetheless, he has decided to come into the pits just to be safe here, which is always good to do. We all remember what happened to McCree back in Sandport, where he unfortunately got disqualified in the feature race after having led quite a lot of laps, and then I think he tried pitting under an early safety car, and then just getting disqualified at the end because he didn't do 3 laps on his tyre. But nonetheless, he has bounced back and is currently leading the race, and it's looking like he's going to win that one. Jack further down.
I was about to say, Jack in P9, he's looking to battle past Darius as on the straight, even before the DRS zone. He's already up alongside and past the ART driver. So nice stuff from Jack. Not really much of a battle there in the end, as he's a lot faster than Darius at this stage and pretty much at all stages of this race. But Jack has not had a clean one, but he's had a very promising drive, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the sprint race if he's able to start from reverse grid pole.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see, because I believe he is quite an alright defender, and if he can keep it into turn 1 and into turn 3 as well, then he should be pretty much set for the rest of the lap. Then it's just going to be down the main straight. He needs to pull a gap on the first lap if he doesn't want to get overtaken by everyone behind him, especially come the 3rd lap when the DRS gets activated. That gap is so ever important because of the DRS being so powerful, as well as the slipstream down the straight, because it is so long. This ratio, since you're basically flat out after turn 16, maybe you have a small lift through 18. Other than that, you're flat out all the way from 16 down to 1.
So yeah, Heiko on that fresh set of super softs, by the way, has dispatched Richie B and is closing down Dominic for what is now P4 after Haspen came into the pits and finds himself down in P10. So Heiko flying the flag for those on the super soft tyres, definitely a lot further up the field than Haspen is able to be at this very moment in time. Macri going even faster with a 1:52.946. I'm going to be interested to see exactly how fast this lap is going to be from Heiko in relation to what Macri is able to do. So I think Macri is actually still going faster than the Dutchman despite the tyre disparity, but Heiko has had a clear lap this time around, all in clean air, so he should be able to challenge. So let's see for the fastest lap as he comes up towards the line. What's it going to be? It's a 53.3, so 0.4 of a second off of what Macri was able to do.
Yeah, Macri just up there. It is incredible how quick he is on that set of tyre. Just able to pull now a 10-second gap down to Sebster. And with Heiko there, I'm sure that he's pushing all that he can, but just isn't able to find the pace. So if only Macri had been a bit more consistent and hadn't been so impatient in a couple of the other races, I'm sure that he would have led the championship by now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a given, right? I mean, he smashed quali in the very first quali session we had in Bahrain. I think he smashed it by 0.8 of a second or something absolutely absurd like that. Macri is unbelievably quick and he deserves more results than he gets. But a lot of the time when he doesn't get a result, in fact, I think every time he doesn't get a result, it's been his own fault. The disqualification in Zandvoort, I mean, it's unlucky in a sense, but you've got to know the rules, and he definitely contravened the rules there with the tyre allocation and when you have to come into the pits to switch between sets of tyres. And every other race, the incidents have largely been of his own making when he's been down there mired in the field. But today, don't let that take anything away from his performance today, because this has been stellar, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can keep his head and deliver a similar sort of performance in the sprint race as well, assuming he does win this one, and we'll have to start from P8 in the sprint race if he does, as he is currently 11.2 seconds clear at the front, and Sebster now 12.6 clear to Tudor as well. So Sebster doing a really, really good job still, even though he's losing more and more time to Macri. He's building the same amount of time to everyone else.
Yeah, it is so incredible seeing the drivers there in the top three. Those gaps there, they're just in a world of their own. Then you have Dominic. Look, all the drivers out there currently just able to pull those gaps on each other. No one really able to fight as we're coming on to the final lap. Macri, he is almost 12. There he jumps up to 12 seconds down to Sebster. He has been absolutely fantastic as he's just going to come up to the castle section. One of the trickiest places on the circuit. If he can keep it through here, I'm sure that he will win the Grand Prix. Yeah, comes through there nicely without bumping into any of the walls.
I mean, he didn't even give it much margin there. I mean, a lot of drivers, when you got 12.6 seconds at the lead of the race, you go through the castle section and you take it as slow as you possibly can and go as far away from those walls as you possibly can. But Macri still hot lapping out there. He's going for yet another fastest lap, I'm sure of it. I wonder if his tyres can hang on for it, though.
Well, let's see here, coming to the end of Sector 2 there. Oh no, he is 0.49 tenths down on his time. So I think he's still pushing it, but unfortunately he isn't able to just get the same lap times as he has done before there, coming past the DRS detection point and the speed trap. But it won't matter. Nothing will matter to him. 13.2 seconds. He will cross the line and take the feature race win here in Baku. That means that he will start from 8th place, but he will catch up, and I believe he will overtake Richie B in the championships quite substantially. But he will. Let's see where Flash will end up. Flash will come home. I believe that'll end up in 7th place for him. So he won't take the lead of the championship, but he will get close, very close. And if Macri have a very good showing in the sprint race and Flash goes outside of the points, I think Macri might be able to snatch the championship lead. But nonetheless, he takes the win in the feature race. Flash comes home in 7th, Tudor in 3rd. So, and Richie B takes 6th. So it's quite close for the championship. As a couple of drivers are just having, the AI casters are having a bit of a frenzy down towards turn one with the cars there having a bit of fun after the race. I'm sure the engineers and the teams will be very happy with that.
Yeah, Dominic, by the way, coming home in P4, was actually closing down Tudor for the last few laps as well and did a good job to keep Heiko well at bay, 1.2 seconds between those two at the checkered flag. So Dominic with a solid result to get P4, and I've said that many times about him over the course of this season and the last one as well. P4, P5, he's always there or thereabouts, and a similar thing is true of Sebster in general. He's usually around like somewhere between 4th and 6th, maybe 7th. But today, Sebster was the second best driver in that field. Maybe not the second fastest, because it's hard to tell what Flash, what Jack and Richie B would have done if they'd had clean races. But they didn't have clean races, and Sebster did. And so really, really good stuff from him to claim his, I think, second podium of the season for Sebster, unless I'm very much mistaken. I believe he got a second place in the sprint race in the Netherlands as well.
His third. He got both in the sprint race in Bahrain and at Zandvoort.
Okay.
He got 2 second places, and then this is his third podium and his first podium in a feature race, so that will do good for him in the championship. I think he might have gotten double as many points for this as he got for the other podiums. So great from him. Great to see him on the podium in a feature race. And further down there, Tudor getting his way up to third place. Flash fighting up into 7th after his horrid start, having to do 2 pit stops. He's the top driver to get 2 pit stops. Jack taking 8th place. He'll start from reverse grid, pole position. Unfortunate at the start there, falling down a couple of positions after having a very good qualifying. But he will be starting from pole position in just a few moments.
Yeah, and that's a very, very fast front row for a sprint race reverse grid, right? 7th and 8th finishes, usually you're expecting to see some drivers that aren't necessarily the fastest out there. But we're going to see, just like in the feature race, it's going to be a very, very fast front row indeed, with our championship leader and the guy who qualified second for the feature race alongside him. So they're going to be looking very good. And Richie B just behind as well in third place in the championship now after not managing to get anywhere near as many points as Macri in that one. Macri actually, by the way, on track for if he can win this race and get the fastest lap, he will get the Grand Slam. He'll get every single point he could possibly have got from this weekend, because he got the fastest lap that race, he won the race, and he got pole. So currently, he has got every single point available to him so far here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's doing very well this weekend. Something that he's done, almost done, in some of the other races. He's gotten close a couple of times, but he's just had small incidents. Someone that's been even closer is Flash. He took both the feature and sprint race in Spain, but I believe that he lost out with the fastest lap and possibly also pole position to Macri, who took third place in the feature race and 9th in the sprint race. So Macri here trying to do what I believe no other driver has been able to do in this season. But he will be having to fight all the way from 8th place, and fighting is one of his weaknesses we've seen before. So let's see what he will be able to do in this Grand Prix, and let's see what Jack and Flash at the front are going to be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. This could be a very, very interesting one. Sebster's no slouch either, so if he manages to stay ahead of Macri off the start, Macri might struggle to get past the Arden driver, particularly if Sebster can remain within the slipstream of the Premers up ahead, and then DRS once that comes available as well. Neil Bywater, by the way, going to be starting on the super soft tyres, the purple tyres, rather than the yellow-walled mediums, so I think that's not the right decision from Neil Bywater. Of course, this is the sprint race in F2. You don't have to make a pit stop in the sprint race. So that's why you see everyone, apart from Neil Bywater, going for those medium tyres, because they can make it all the way to the end of the race. But yeah, seeing some support for Dominic, some support for Pino as well. And both of them are going to be starting in the top 8 for this race and on track for 2-point scoring finishes unless they mess things up. So it's good news for fans of both of those drivers. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm very excited to see what Jack can do if he doesn't bin it out of turn 2 this time around.
Yeah, all is to come for the 11-lap long sprint race. The drivers currently just making their way onto the start-finish straight, and then they'll be slotting into their grid boxes, getting the final heat in their tyres and brakes there, which should be on Heiko having a bit of contact and getting thrown back to the grid there. The stewards not happy to see what they've done, and they will not have the opportunity to heat their tyres like the rest of the drivers will be, as most of the drivers' AIs has taken over and is guiding them slowly into the correct positions, with Jack at the front and with Flash just to his left-hand side.
Yep, and once again, as I mentioned before, the feature race is a very short run down to turn one, so there's only so much a good start can do for you. But if you can get alongside the drivers around you into turn one, you can keep the battle going through turn two as well, as the lights are all over the place this time around. We'll wait for them to go out. They've gone out early for Steve Jackson, who's just gunning it up through the field. In fact, I think that might be intentional from the Univirtuoso driver, not sure. But meanwhile, his teammate is leading from pole. It's Jack holding on to it with Flash in second. Richie B, I think that is, in third. So he's had a good start off the line. Heiko fourth. Tudor in fifth, I believe, with Macri in sixth. So he's gained a couple of positions as well. And yeah, that's, I think everyone got away pretty cleanly. The timing tower's definitely having a bit of a moment here, as I see Darius and Sebster going side by side here. Macri thinking about a move on Tudor as well. That would have been contact if they weren't ghosted, but thankfully they all are ghosted. So it's Jack leading the way from Flash, from Richie B. Heiko in fourth, Tudor fifth. Macri in sixth. I think Steve Jackson's car is actually desynchronized from the rest of the lobby here.
Yeah, most likely there after that start. That was quite weird to see. He's currently ghosted driving through the field, so not quite sure what is happening to him. But we will, hopefully everything will sort itself out, or maybe we'll have to wait till the end of the race. But nonetheless, Flash close to Jack at the front. And I'm sure that Flash will either be going for the move now, coming into turn 15 or 13 or 14, or maybe he'll do it down the start finish straight. Let's see. Or he would have been forced to go around the outside of Jack there, but he is wisely choosing to just stay back for a bit because of that long drag down to turn one. So I believe he's going to go for it there. As you can see, he's so close, almost pushing through turn 16 there, but there's a bit of distance now coming through 17, 18, and then through 19. It's going to be, if he's going for the move there, coming through the small kink of 20 now, slipstreaming all the way through, coming past the pit entry there. Flash round the outside there, side by side now, coming up to cross the start finish line. Flash getting the position now, coming across the line, he locks up there side by side into turn one. Jack down the inside and Flash getting forced out and unable to get the position. Sebster going deep into turn one there. I'm not quite sure what has happened to him, as Lash is getting a 5-second penalty there, as I believe that was Macri
and Tudor going side by side into turn two, and Macri did not leave much space on the outside of turn two for the poor Prema driver, and the Romanian picks up front wing damage after contact with the wall, courtesy of Macri's Campos. So yeah, the Italian once again involved in controversy while trying to make moves up through the field, but this time, at least for his sake, it's not his own car that he's damaged, just the Prema of Tudor, who's now down into P7, losing out to Dominic, who had a poor getaway off the line. The top four, as they were on the grid: Jack from Flash, from Richie B, from Heiko, who's falling a little bit further away from his countryman in P3. Interesting to see that Jack definitely not as fast as Richie B at this stage of the race. Richie B all over the back of the Univirtuosi driver, whose tail wags pretty heartily there through the exit of, I think that's turn 13. And yeah, he's struggling with rear grip at the moment in the yellow and black Univirtuosi. Still leading the way, but only just. And it's interesting that even though he was comfortably faster than Flash in the qualifying, the one-lap qualifying, it seems that Flash is actually the faster driver around here after all.
Yeah, some yellow flag sector 2. I believe that is A3.
Yep, in the wall.
A3's just round and had a small incident with the wall there, trying to get it back, but now up at the front, it's going to be close for turn one here. Flash once again being forced to go around the outside, but does he have more pace this time round? Let's see. Jack will be down the inside there, and Flash was past, but Jack down the inside, he goes there. There's a bit of barging, both of them off the track there, but Flash forced even wider, and there comes Richie B there to go down the inside of both drivers. Richie B now fighting Jack for the lead, getting the position, and there comes Flash for second place, getting the position. But look at Heiko behind. Heiko now fighting Jack for third. Jack falling down the order now from first all the way down to fourth now as they come in to turn number 3 there. McCree forcing just his way past there. It was close, but he got up into P4. So McCree really gaining from this position, and Jack just falling down from his first position, and Richard B going up into first.
Yeah, that move into turn 1 was, I think, almost incredibly well done by Jack, but he just ran a little bit too deep on the brakes and forced Flash wide, so I think Flash will not be happy with that one, but it was very brave stuff from Jack, who unfortunately pays the price for it, falling down to P5, but Richie B, Christmas came early for him there as he takes the lead of the race after sitting in P3 for the first couple of laps, as the door was thrown wide open by Jack and Flash's battle through turn 1. Heiko got involved with them for a little bit, but is starting to fall away with Macri all over the back of him. Macri, by the way, into turn 2, or turn 3, I should say, on that last lap. He was so much later on the brakes than Jack, and Jack didn't turn in on him, so Macri making it up into P4, and he is actually doing fairly well dispatching the rest of the field for the moment, though I think Tudor would probably beg to differ on that one. Tudor actually, interestingly, despite the front wing damage, has made it back past his teammate Dominic, who doesn't have any visible front wing damage, so that battle looks set to continue in P6 and P7 for now.
Yeah, that is quite well done of McCree currently. He's close to Heiko, but Heiko does have the DRS in front as Richard B is setting the fastest lap. So he is doing well in that clean air at the front. And Sebs then from behind, down in 9th place, battling a bit with Darius, but at the same time setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So Sebs really showing that that podium in the feature race wasn't just a one-off, and that he does have some pace, although he has fallen down the field just a bit, fallen outside of the points, since of course in the sprint race it is only the top 8 getting the points and not the full top 10 like it is in the feature race and in F1, but only the top 8.
Yeah, I didn't catch exactly what happened to Sebstra off the start, but he lost at least 3 positions at the very beginning, so bad news for him, as he, as you mentioned, currently outside of the points-paying positions. Flash now looking a lot faster than Richie B over the course of this lap, so the Dutchman might well find himself under pressure come the DRS straight, the main straight, the pit straight, as Flash is definitely the faster car between them at the moment, though Richie B has had a good castle section there and has just built up the gap a little bit up to 6 seconds. So Flash maybe poor at this stage of the lap, and maybe particularly good in Sector 1. That might cost him, because he needs to make sure that he's well within range of the MP Motorsport car when it gets to this DRS zone, because this is by far the best overtaking opportunity on the whole circuit. He doesn't have to worry about looking in his mirrors, because Heiko behind has fallen outside of DRS range, which probably means that Macri is going to go straight up into P3, because Heiko will have no chance of battling with the Campos driver here. The Italian will open the rear wing as soon as he is able, and he's already pulling out and alongside Heiko. The Carlin defenseless here as the orange Campos makes its way back up into P3, and now he can look to chase down Flash and Richie B. The 3 at the top of the championship are the 3 at the top of this race, and I feel like we haven't had that happen that much so far this season, so I'm very interested to see how that battle is going to go down there. Flash has had his fair share of incidents so far this season, same for Richie B, so honestly this could end absolutely catastrophically given the track record that these 3 have, but hopefully not. Dominic's actually lost out, by the way, to Haspen after he tried to battle with his teammate Tudor on the last lap. He's sticking it back up the inside into turn 3 of Haspen in the second Campos, and Tudor almost losing it on his own through turn 3 as well, reigniting this particular battle for P6, which is frenetic at the moment. But right now there is still the battle up at the very front, which we need to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to be a 3-way battle for the lead here, and most likely also for the win if these 3 drivers can keep it away from each other. Now coming through the castle section, all of them getting nicely through there, none of them are getting too close to the wall. and then it's just going to be this drag through the two left-handers. Then it's onto the straight, and then it's just going to see if McCree can get enough pace to just fly by both of them, because I think you need to be within 0.5 of a second coming on to the straight to be able to get past someone without DRS, without DRS. So McCree here behind, he is within 0.4 of Flash, and Flash there just 6.5 up to Richard B. So let's see, both Flash and McCree will have DRS, Richard B won't. So now coming up to the DRS line, and McCree catching Flash, but slowing down a bit now as Flash has opened the DRS on Richard B. Will Flash get close enough? It's gonna be close. There's Richard B locks up. No, but he went defensive. At the same time, there comes McCree as he set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But he got the better exit out of turn 1 and into turn 2. He definitively gets the position up into P2. So now it's going to be the fight now. Still a bit of fight for P2 there. Flash fighting back, but he'll be forced around the outside into turn 3 there, side by side, but McCree on the inside, forcing it into the wall there.
No.
There's a bit of contact with the wall, and I believe, yeah, there's a bit of end plate missing there for Flash, but he's able to fight back now. Flash fighting for P2 with McCree, and this is just doing well for Richard B, but the virtual safety car has been deployed, and I believe that McCree was just in front of Flash as it got deployed.
Yeah, both of them with front wing damage, both of them with an end plate missing. And yeah, I mean, I hate to say I told them so, but I did say that these three, the battling was going to end in tears. To be fair to Richie B, he was not involved. It was just Macri and Flash, and both of them picking up front wing damage. Carbon fiber going flying. Macri not giving Flash enough room on the exit of turn 3, I would say. Based on what I saw, there's nowhere left for Flash to go there. So I think Macri just getting a little bit greedy with the amount of track he was trying to take and causing that collision between the two of them, although he was almost completely ahead of Flash, so I can see why he wanted to try and shut that door fully. Meanwhile, Jack was able to get past Heiko behind, so he's looking involved in this fight once more. Haspen P6, Tudor P7, Dominic P8, so Haspen has been able to get past both of the Prema drivers now. Sebster not making that many inroads onto the back of the points for the time being, as Lasher is going to retire from the session as we are back underway once again. And the battle about to reignite here between Flash and Macri. Macri's actually had a poor restart. He's well away from Richie B. And Flash might well have a great opportunity here with DRS up into turn 1. I don't think there's going to be anything that Macri can do to defend this one. And Flash will be able to breeze past on the straight. But here comes Jack in the Uni Virtuosi around the outside. Flash does front wing damage. Flash forces him wide, and in doing so, opens the door once again for Pino Macri. Flash did that last lap when he went aggressive on Richie B into turn 1, and that opened the door for Macri to get the switch back, and it's happened again. This time trying to defend from Flash and defending too aggressively, and once again it's Macri who's the benefactor of the battling that the German is involved in, and that was... I think that must have been Flash going really hard into the back of, or Jack going really hard into the back of Flash there, as Flash just got forced into the wall through turn 3, and Jack, oh no, I'm not liking that. No, that's looking pretty dodgy from Jack. He wants to be careful, otherwise he might well be black flagged from the rest of this season. And Heiko should be able to get past him now. But it happened last time a driver decided he was going to throw someone in the wall. It was Flash. It was Ovslaves doing it to Flash in the Netherlands. And now Jack looks like he's thinking about doing the same thing here as well.
Yeah, but the stewards show that there are consequences if you do that. As we've seen with Offslaves, he's been disqualified for the rest of the season. So the stewards just showing that it is not okay to do that. And I think Jack will have to watch out if he doesn't want to end up with the same fate as Offslaves. He will have to have a very good reason for why he did that, and why he didn't just let him go down the inside there and battle for the position instead of just moving across into the wall. But nonetheless there, Heiko moving up into 4th, Flash in 5th, Haspen 6th, and then we have Tudor in 7th place with quite a gap up to them. But let's see, will Heiko be able to go for the move? I don't think so, but Flash losing a position to Haspen there. Haspen able to go in the slipstream there, but they both have DRS. It's going to be a drag race down to turn 1 there. Flash moving out of the DRS, or out of the slipstream. but still with the DRS, but wasn't able to get the position.
Ooh. Dominic running wide through turn 1, just outbraked himself there, and that means that Sebster is able to get up into P8, the bottom of the point scoring positions. Tudor absolutely power sliding through turn 2 there. That's not the fastest way to go about that one. And yeah, I think it was the incident in turn 1 where Flash defended pretty aggressively on the exit of turn 1 against Jack. I think Jack is not too happy about that. He might have picked up front wing damage in it, and I think that's why we saw him punting the back of Flash into turn 3 on the last lap, and then the next incident through the exit of there as well. So yeah, Jack has a lot of explaining to do right now. The good news for him is that Heiko also has front wing damage behind him. Haspen does not, but Flash is pretty heavily wounded as well, with 0 end plates left on his front wing. So Macri, Jack, Heiko, and Flash all have front wing damage, and so does Tudor. So they really are the walking wounded out there in this sprint race, and Haspen, with a full front wing, has a significant advantage, and I think the same is true for Richie B up in the lead of this race, as Macri just not able to get the pace to live with him at the moment, considering he has damage to contend with.
Yeah, quite unfortunate for all these drivers. They've all been involved in some kind of accident there. And I believe that was that Tudor, yeah, bumping very hard into the wall there, just on the exit, and losing even more of his front wing. Oh, there!
And even more, that's the whole
That's
thing.
everything gone there for him, just on the exit there. I'm surprised his wheel didn't come off. That was...
he needs to be careful here!
There it comes! Safety car deployed! Goes straight into the wall there. He didn't lift enough, and that was just into the wall for him. So, Tudor just first having issues coming into turn 15, and then coming out of turn 16 and into 17 there, and then he just didn't lift enough coming into 19, and then just boom, into the wall he went, and there was his tyre completely gone on the left hand side. And it is in a place where they need to clean up a bit, and it is quite hard to do with just a yellow flag. So the full safety car has been deployed, and this means that McCree and Richie B will be right behind each other. They will be so close on track for the restart, and I think it's only going to be 1 lap left when the safety car comes in to the pits. So I'm just looking forward to that battle into turn 1, and then most likely also the drag race down to down to the start finish line when that time comes.
Yeah, turn 1 is the only opportunity for Macri, right? Because he has that front wing damage. So unless Richie B makes some kind of major mistake, Macri will have 1 chance when the safety car comes in. And it'll be the last lap anyway, I'm pretty sure. So he will literally only have 1 chance into turn 1. And that's going to be pretty much it, because he's not going to be able to be fast enough throughout the rest of the lap with that front wing damage that he has to threaten the Dutchman. Meanwhile, Dominic and Flash both actually came into the pits under that safety car to strap on a set of fresh super softs and to get rid of their very damaged front wings. So they're going to be fast for that last lap, but it is going to be only 1 lap really for them to have an opportunity. Steve Jackson showing us P8, but I don't think he's been in control of his car for any of this race, so I don't think we need to worry too much about him. Aspen doing well to be up in P4. Sebster's managed P6, and Darius up into the points as well, just by virtue of keeping his nose clean when others have not. Unfortunately, that has not been true for Neil Bywater, Race Reason, BioLite, who might have looked to try and steal a couple of positions away, but they are still outside of the top 10 for now. And this is going to be a very, very interesting end to this race, provided we do get 1 last lap of racing.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible in the game to finish under the safety car. So that must mean that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and let the drivers go green on the final lap. So it's a question of how many people are able to catch the safety car. I'm not sure, but I can at least say that McCree will be right behind Richie B and Jack will be right behind them. And most likely also Haspen, Heiko, Sebster and that train behind there will most likely also be at the front. Then I'm unsure when we come down to the likes of Steve Jackson and Darius. They might just be a bit too far away, although saying that they are catching on the minimap. So I believe most of the field will be right together, and it will be 1 final green flag lap. And I'm sure that we're going to see one hell of a drag, both into turn 1 and up to the start-finish line when we get under green flag conditions, and it will be one hell of a final lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And all caused by Tudor losing his front wing on the exit of turn 16. And then when you have zero front wing, it is so difficult to get through that fast chicane at the very end of the lap, 18 and 19. They're so fast when you have a car that's completely working. And when you have zero front wing, you lose so much of the front downforce. And those are the two corners where you're most reliant on front downforce anywhere on the F2 calendar, I would say. So, you really have to take it into consideration. And you think you are. You think, I'm going so much slower. I'm like 2 gears down. Surely I'm taking this slowly enough. And as Tudor found out, you need to go even slower than you think through there. I've tried to drive that without a full front wing once or twice in my time, and that's usually how it goes. So, yeah, I think Tudor could have taken more care, but that really can catch you out. And I got to say, I did see that one coming from a mile away as the safety car is now heading in here. Richie B weaving. He needs to make sure he gets a good run away from McCree here, because this is McCree's one and only opportunity to steal the race win away from Richie B.
Yeah, you can see there McCree right on the side of Richie B there. There goes Richie B. I believe he has gone for it. The same as McCree right behind. The whole field is now going to bunch up into turn 1. Let's see, will McCree be able to get past in turn 1? It's going to be close. He's pulled out of the slipstream, but no, he's not past. So if he wants to get past, it will be a drag to the finish line. Although Richie B not getting the best exit there. And there comes McCree down the inside in turn 2 on the final lap here. There's some contact further behind with the wall there, but they're side by side for the lead here. And they're coming into turn 3 there. McCree in second place. There's contact further back. But let's just keep an eye on what happens for P1. McCree down the inside does get it, but with the switchback there, Richie B almost had it, but no, wasn't able to get the traction down now. Richie B in second place, McCree in first. Is McCree able to pull away from Richie B? Let's see as they're coming in towards sector 2 now, and yeah, you can see McCree 6.5 tenths further down. And further down we're seeing battling, but McCree has taken the lead, coming into the tunnel, or the castle section, that's what it's called. Now, coming there, doesn't lose anything on his car, getting it nicely through there. It's all about holding it now onto the start-finish straight. He has still a nice gap down to McCree, or Richie B there. McCree doing well in first place now, coming on the back straight there. The two left-hand kings braking nicely into turn 15, then down to turn 16. Will he be able to keep it there nicely? Still 6.5 tenths. Now jumping up to 7 tenths. So it's almost a second. Let's see. Coming on to the start finish straight. I don't think Richie B is close enough. He won't have the DRS. That'll be for another 2 laps before that's activated. But we won't see them because we are seeing the checkered flag fall now. Richie B right behind in second place. He's catching. He's in the slipstream, but I don't think he'll be able to get it. No, McCree takes the win. There over the line he goes. There was 5 tenths between them, but McCree was able to get it in the end.
What a final lap from Pino Macri. That is incredible stuff. That last lap right there is almost as impressive as the huge margin he won by in the feature race. I said there was no chance. If he didn't get him into turn 1, there was going to be no chance unless Richie B made a mistake, and he did exactly that. On the exit of turn 1, Richie B was slow, and that gave Macri the opportunity he needed, and as soon as he was ahead of Richie B, all he needed to do was keep that the Dutchman behind. But he did more than that. He was building that gap to Richie B throughout the lap. It was about 8 tenths of a second at one point. And Macri was the one with the front wing damage. So that is really special stuff from the Italian, in all honesty. Great finish to this race. Flash, by the way, had a monster final lap. Went from 9th position up to P4. Definitely helped by that huge incident which went on behind the leaders on the straight between turns 2 and 3. Heiko was the meet in, I think it was a Darius and Haspen sandwich, unless I'm very much mistaken. It was very similar to the incident we saw in the feature race down here towards turn 7. Yeah, very similar outcome in the end as well, though those guys all managed to come home in the points regardless, but probably a little bit of bad blood there. But Macri as well, the best thing, he was clean on that overtake on Richie V. Through turn 2, he could have slammed Richie V into the wall. He had the inside line, and we've seen him do that from time to time, but he kept it clean on the exit, so all credit to him for that move. That was really, really nicely done from Pino Macri.
Yeah, and another thing that needs to be given to Pino Macri is that he did take the fastest lap. So this weekend is a full Grand Slam for him, and I believe that is the first Grand Slam of the season. So Macri really showing the amazing pace that he has, and the pace that really that should put him at the top of the championship standings, but hasn't done yet. But nonetheless, I think he does take second place in the standings. I'm unsure with Flash's fourth place.
I think he takes first.
Does he take first with Flash's fourth place as well? Because if he does, that is amazing stuff from Macri. This weekend, he has been absolutely perfect. Almost perfect, you could say. And he's taken maximum points. 4 points in qualifying, 25 points for the position in the feature race, 15 points for the position in the sprint race, and 4 points for fastest lap, both in the feature and the sprint race. That is 48 points to his name this weekend.
Yeah, he's taken the lead in the championship. I can confirm that. He went into this 26 points behind Flash, and he comes out of it 8 points ahead, having gained 34 points over our erstwhile championship leader. So what a weekend that is for Pino Macri. And I think you're right that that's the first Grand Slam we've seen this season. We did see Flash win both races in Spain, but I don't think he got all fastest laps, and I'm not sure if he qualified on pole or not. I think Macri might have qualified on pole in that one. Not entirely sure about that one. But yeah, huge weekend from him, and a great weekend for Sebster as well. 28 points. He scored the second most of anyone this weekend. He was P5 in the championship. I think he still will be P5 in the championship just about, because Tudor is the guy ahead, and he also did a decent points haul here today. But nevertheless, it's looking pretty hot at the top of the championship. All of a sudden, Macri reeling Flash in, and if he can have more weekends like this and sort out his consistency, he has an absolute shoo-in for the championship.
Oh yeah, you must say, if he just needs to be out of the incidents, not get himself too involved with them, and then he is surely in the lead of the championship for the rest of the season. But we've seen time and time again that he's having a bit of trouble with it. But let's see now, we have Austria, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa, Monza, Sochi and Abu Dhabi left. So there is plenty of time for this battle to get all the more heated. And we've seen an amazing fight up until now with just the first 5 weekends, including this one. So it is just all to fight for. And even people like Tudor and Sebster could get themselves involved if the top 3 guys battle a bit too much. So the championship is still wide open for almost everyone involved, which is just great to see and what we love to see.
Absolutely, yeah, it is. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it progresses from here. You mentioned that Tudor and Sebster might have to hope for some incidents between the top 3 to climb up the order any further. But we've seen plenty of incidents from those top 3 drivers so far this season. We've seen incidents from, I think, every single driver in the field. Sebster's been involved in incidents as well. I was going to say maybe Sebster has been the one driver in the top 5 who we haven't seen involved in that many incidents, but I think he has also been involved in a lot. Maybe, I'm trying to look, see if anyone is someone who I've not seen had any big problems. Maybe Darius? I can't remember any specific incidents of Darius going around or getting involved in crashes, but that might just be my memory failing me. But nevertheless, it's very interesting stuff, and at the very least, it's very, very entertaining indeed.
Yeah, you must say, and it is all to come in the next many weeks. But we have to say goodbye from an absolutely amazing weekend here in Azerbaijan, with the drivers just battling it out amazingly on track, and Macri taking the first Grand Slam of the season. And we will be back next week with the Austrian Grand Prix at Spielberg, and until then, have a good one and goodbye.